when you look at the challenges DEA faces, with the interdiction piece on the national level, stopping it from coming into the country, dealing with foreign governments to be able to stop it on the supply end with the cultivation of coca plants and cocaine, and then some of the other things we're seeing, more recently with dealing with fentanyl and the opioid epidemic that we have, and trying to do what they can to be able to help stem that. The number of deaths across the country directly tied to fentanyl and opioid abuse is staggering, and I foresee that only getting worse unless we do something dramatic to be able to turn the tide on that. So I think realistically they're going to be pretty maxed out with many of the challenges that they face on a different level than marijuana. Quite extensively at what's happened in Colorado and Washington State, and in looking at that, we can anticipate that there is going to be, as it's legitimized, there's going to be an increased use by people of all ages. The impact is going to be seen certainly on the fatal traffic collision front. They've seen a dramatic increase in that in Colorado in particular, as well as then the edibles, that we've seen an increase in the number of kids particularly admitted to emergency rooms for ingestion of edibles that in a young kid could be fatal. And when you think about the products, we're so used to dealing with things like these cookies in front of me here that we know what's in them. We know what percentage of each ingredient is in them. When you're talking edibles for marijuana, for cookies, for brownies, or any of this kind of thing, you've got some probably very young person making these for low wages, and how much active ingredient THC gets into each portion of the ingredient or the food. Somebody cuts a corner off a brownie, do they get the full ingestion of THC that was supposed to go into that whole plate of brownies, or do they get nothing? So there's no control, there's no quality control, there's no control over pesticides that are in the ingredients that people are putting into their body. There's so many unknowns, so many variables that we don't know what we're going to see as it rolls out in a state as large as California. But from what I've seen, the unintended consequences, the downside, is very significant. And we need to be in a position, I think, not only from the policing profession, but particularly from the health profession, to be in a position to do what we can as this comes in, to be very open with the public from an education standpoint as to what we're seeing, and then measures we can take to help protect the public. But it really is not going to be something that policing does or health agencies on their own. It's going to have to be all of our institutions working together